Hello, 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 hello.
What's
Welcome
going
to
on?
another week of Your Words, Your Voice. I am the host, James Hopkins, with my co-host, Mr. Zion Washington, and our
Back at
other
it again.
co-host, Mr. Bully. Welcome to the show. This week we're going to be talking to a young lady representing a group from Jackson State University, The I Love, and the group is called Girls Against Gun Violence. So without further ado, let me introduce you all to Miss Nia Wilson. Miss Nia Washington. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You could add the names.
Yeah, right. Handling Miss Nia.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nia Williams. I am a sophomore journalism and media studies major at the best HBCU, Jackson State
Come on
University.
now.
I am a proud member of Girls Against Gun Violence, which is a JSU Votes affiliated coalition for college girls to come together with community leaders and activists to talk about, the reducing of gun violence. It was formed after actually a loss of a student at Jackson State University due to gun violence. And so it's a nonprofit org. It's very powerful. We get out there, we speak, we talk about all things, to get out there and spread it in our community.
Okay, all right. So, Jackson State University, what classification are you?
Sophomore.
Sophomore.
Yes.
All right. So, where are you from?
I'm from Chicago, Illinois.
Chi-town, North
Chi-town.
Mississippi. Don't play with it. Come on.
That's it. That's all.
Okay. So you chose Jackson State,
Yes.
and I've had the opportunity to speak with you a little earlier.
Yes.
You're a very, very intelligent young lady, and I'm sure you probably got, offers to other colleges. Why Jackson State?
Well, to be frank, I'm going to be honest, it's cliche, but my parents are both alum. They graduated from here, and so growing up, I would always attend all of the events, the homecomings. Chicago is very deep in Mississippi, as you all know. Great migration, hello.
Right.
But at the same time, I was always, just so infatuated with HBCUs in general. So I applied to other universities, of course, because why not? I knew I was going to get in. But I just knew that it was always something about Jackson that felt like a second home in a sense, and it felt like a home away from home where I wouldn't, be trying to fit in anywhere, and I would already basically be in my space.
Okay.
Yes.
Jackson kind of reminds you of
Yes.
Chicago.
Yeah.
My co-host is also from Chicago.
Yes, we are.
Do you all know each other like before you came to Jackson State?
Surprisingly, no. But it feels like I've known her just because of we had such a similar upbringing that it just feels like naturally we connect better. So
Yeah.
Right.
Something about
I noticed that
Chicagoans.
when I was talking to her. I said, "Design, do a little skin walking trick and show back up as her." But yeah, y'all really put me in the mind of each other. Conversational wise, and just intelligence wise, and just the way you express yourselves when you speak. So pretty excited to meet you and hear what you have to say tonight. So tell us exactly who Naya is.
Well, Nia.
Nia, I'm sorry.
It's
Look,
okay. You
this
gonna
this
learn. You
look
gonna
this
learn.
one of
You gonna
those
catch on
nights.
to it, I
I'm
know.
gonna get it. Look, y'all know
But
I'm
they
old
do.
now. Don't
they
do me.
try to spell it that way. But
Let me
that's
punish
incorrect.
myself. Get it right. Get it right. Get it right. Get it right. All right. All right. Go
So,
ahead.
who I am outside of a student, outside of, just, being an organization, who I am, I'm a very outgoing person. I would consider myself an extrovert. I like to talk. I like to, make new friends and establish new connections and build bonds. I love to travel. My end goal is to end up at all 7 continents. I want to travel to all 7 continents. Well, maybe not Antarctica. Antarctica. That's kind of exaggerated. But I do just love, putting myself out there. Some people shy away from public speaking or expressing their true feelings. I'm one of those people, I will stand up first in the class. Nobody wants to present. Okay, I'll go. Because I just feel like, why not? You never know who you can meet who might be your match, they can relate to you on that aspect. So I'm just very outgoing and elaborate, and I have a lot of great things coming. So I'm excited about some of that stuff.
Okay. And what are you majoring in?
Journalism and media studies. Multimedia production is my pathway, and I'm on the concentration path to become a news anchor.
Okay, great. Look, we have some news stations down here if you want to stay now.
Yes.
All right. So, Mr. Zion.
yes, sir.
Zion the Lion.
Straight into it. So just kind of like us being from Chicago, is there anything that might have affected you or inspired you to join the Girls Against Gun Violence Coalition at our campus?
Well, there's a lot of aspects. Before I even got to school, I knew that I wanted to be involved in some way, shape, or form on campus with an organization that not only resonated with me, but actually had a real purpose and was actually doing things for the community, not just for the looks of it. Because unfortunately, that is the cause of a lot of organizations' downfall, is they seem like they're doing the work when they're really not. They just put on this persona. They're posting on social media every once in a while to get you to engage, but they're not really doing anything or doing what they say they are about. So when I found out about Girls with Gun Violence, it interests me because, for one, I am, I've lost people in my family to gun violence, unfortunately, but it's the harsh reality, and I'm not afraid to talk about it. I'm not afraid to engage about it because it happens to more people than you think, and even the people that we talk about, that's not even close to who we really are losing, especially at home. And I hate to put us out there like that because it's not all violence, y'all, but for the most part, that's how the media portrays it to be. And I knew that I wanted to use my voice and be a catalyst for change because there's things that you can do in the community, even in college. People think their voices don't matter when really they do. So I was like, let me get myself out here, partner with an organization that, aligns with what I want to do and how I want to do things.
Okay. So you lost immediate family
Yeah,
members?
immediately.
Wow.
Immediate
Is,
family
is that something you would be okay with discussing?
members. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm comfortable with talking about it.
Let's
If you would give me the floor, I won't mind.
okay.
So in 2019, in February, I lost my oldest cousin to gun violence. His name is Darian Wilson, and it was a very, very traumatic time for my family. We had never, of course, everyone goes through loss, but most of the time it's, she was ill. So you always know the cause of it. This one really shocked us because it was so unexpected, and it was very hurtful because he was just like the most outgoing to himself, like, he didn't mess with anyone, and I know that's what everyone feels like, but genuinely, he was, like, the most amazing person ever. He always supported me. He came to all my events, and he was just the kindest soul, and we call him D for short, so. And his story is still out there, and I feel like in Chicago especially, I feel like there's not enough media coverage on, like, victims if they're not mainstream, like, they're not really handling it, like, especially, I hate to put the whole police department into it, but they're not really invested into their communities seriously how they should be. So, unfortunately, we lost him, and it was unexpected. And then just 3.5 months later, my other cousin passed away in June of 2019. And it was very heavy because it was like, okay, we just kind of, like, got through this, and now we're doing this all over again, the whole process of figuring out behind the scenes and then having to do funeral arrangements. It was just a lot. It was really heavy for my family and I, and especially my mom. She really especially felt the bulk of it for sure because, she, like, even though those were her nephews, she grew up with them like that was her brother basically,
right. Especially
D. And then my second cousin who passed away, Marcel Hannah, and we call him Little because he was a junior. And they both were just the sweetest guys, but Little especially shocked us, and how he passed was just extremely brutal, and it's a lot, and I really don't want to dive too deep into it, but it was definitely a lot. Then I experienced it again with another cousin on my mom's side with her dad, and he passed away. It was just a lot of back-to-back traumatic events that was happening, and it's a lot to, have on the brain, so we got out there, we got in the community, we put their posters up, we put their flyers up, we talked about it, we were on social media, my mom got articles written about them. They literally changed the entire, like, description of what my mom sent them and made it seem like, I guess they looked up some information on my past, because he was past at this point cousin, and tried to say, well, he went to jail, and I guess try to affiliate that with why he had passed. It had nothing to do with it. It was literally over a speeding ticket or something like that. Like, you're looking up stuff to try to correlate it. It was a really bad time, and we were just going through a lot. But now I'm more comfortable and vocal to talk about it, because at first I was, like, shying away from it because I didn't want people to feel sorry for me, and I didn't want people to, be like, just another sad story. Like, I really want to keep their names alive, and, like, as my platform grows and develops, I want to bring them along with me, like, their names, because it's not, just because they're not here anymore, that doesn't mean we can't continue to talk about it and try to change things and make awareness for it.
Right. Something you just said that stuck with me. You said that your mom sent this information
Yes.
and they twisted it and started
did.
talking about. Now that's something on a national level. Now I'm not. It doesn't happen too much here that I
Right.
know of,
Right.
but I've noticed, especially even back when Trayvon Martin was killed,
Yes.
what they do on a national level when it's our people that's killed. The first thing they want to do is find out, have they ever been arrested? Are they on drugs? Did they drop out of school? Did they do this and do that? And they'll leave them laying in the street hours at a time while they do this. So when they make their media presence, they can say, well, he did this and did that. But I notice when there's other people, the first thing they want to talk about is mental health. That's well, he was mentally ill,
Right.
or this was going on. And I think that's a stigma that every black person that's killed had to be doing something to be killed.
Right.
You know, and I'm sorry you went through that. But
So sorry.
but when you said that, it just kind of brought up memories of when there was this trend when the now president had his first term, where it was open season on black men. You know, and every time they would kill him, there's always, well,
A reason about
yeah, he was a bad
he
guy.
was a
He
gang
did this
banger.
long
He was-
in jail.
Yeah.
Okay, well, he's just walking home. You know, doesn't mean you have to die because you went to jail 3 or 4 years ago. You know, so
Right.
um,
It's almost like they try to justify it or make it like as
Basically.
if it's appropriate because of the circumstances that they were placed in, which is not a narrative that needs to be pushed in our communities. Because at the end of the day, whether your past has anything to do with who you are now, you are still a human being. You are a servant of God. So when we lose our people, it doesn't matter what your background is. It
Right.
matters who you are now. So
Exactly.
that's something that I'm sorry that happened to
No,
you.
thank you. I appreciate it.
That-
And that's definitely something that I wanted to put out there because when I do my media, it's factual. Like, I don't take from the past. I'm talking about what's going on currently in today's news. And that's why you have to be very cautious because little things like that can manipulate an entire situation.
Right.
You made it seem like he was this bad person when in reality that was just not the truth.
Right.
And we're not even addressing that. We're trying to, get out here to make awareness so that my cousin's murder could be justified, and the person who
Right.
did this is no longer out doing it to other people.
Right.
And you're talking about a traffic
A
ticket.
whole nother narrative.
So-
Like,
So now I know when that happened, I'm sure it gave you some type of animosity towards
did.
law enforcement.
it did. I'm not
And
gonna lie.
something like that I know you have to grow out of. How has your opinion of law enforcement changed since then, or has it changed?
Well, it has in the sense that I have never seen anything like that firsthand. So, of course, just hearing experiences, as you mentioned before, Trayvon Martin, of course, that's sickening. And I thought that anything that happened with police brutality was horrible in any right. But to actually be, one of the people who were a part of that,
Right.
it made me feel like closer to, wanting to get into media. That's what really changed my perspective because it's just not enough vocal about how much is actually going bad outside of, what we see. Like, they want to cover news on, small things that could,
Right.
be an email, to be honest.
Right.
And I felt like the police, especially at that time, it was a lot going on in Chicago at that time, like that 2019. So I just felt like they just weren't trying. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't feel like they were trying. We didn't get any success in anything. So of course I had felt a certain type of way because I'm like,
Right.
y'all are supposed to be there for us. Like, y'all are supposed to benefit y'all's community, and nothing that they were doing was helping us in any way, shape, or form. We were taking more action than the police, and that's not how it should be. We
Right.
shouldn't have to call and reach out to the detectives. Aren't y'all supposed to reach out to us?
Right.
So it did make me feel a certain type of way. And now that I'm older, I understand the circumstances, but I still, still feel some kind of,
It's like
Okay.
animosity.
Yeah.
And I just want to add to
Yeah.
that. So, like, having lost so many people close
Yeah.
to you, do you feel like the activism that has been done in the community, whether it be the marches or the, going out and speaking about it, do you feel like it actually makes an impact on people's life to where they're like, hey, we need to really stop the gun violence, or has it just kind of become a little bit tone deaf? What do you think?
honestly, like with the kind of to add on to that with the BLM movement, I feel like it's definitely something that is important and pivotal, especially in our community. And actually, that's crazy. We were talking about something about that earlier. Like, there's so many changes we need to do within our community before we step outside of our race and fix what's going on out
Right.
there. So I definitely think it is a catalyst for change because when you start within, you build out, you branch out. Because if we're not doing the, Million Man March, how will anybody know about these platforms. No one's going to keep up with you guys if you're not doing anything actively. So I definitely think it's worth it. I know some people don't see the results immediately, but it's not supposed to be like that. You know, it's a over time change. And I definitely think it's beneficial, especially in the long run, especially with black men getting out there and getting more comfortable with being vocal about some of the systematic racism they've experienced.
Okay, before he asks you the next question, if anybody out there listening, watching, you want to call in, you have any questions or comments, or even if you dealt with crime in your family, the number to call is 601-387-2684. We're here to answer any questions you have, 601-387-2684. Take it away, Zion.
So my next question is, how pivotal do you think it is that we have young people in on the conversation when it comes to gun violence? Because I noticed with Girls Against Gun Violence, if I'm not mistaken, you guys actually went to tour Callaway High School and Kirksey Middle School to actually mend the relationship between the police and the young people. So how important do you feel like it is for young people to engage with their local officials and officers to talk about these issues and actually come up with solutions?
I definitely think it's important, especially because it is a group surrounded with women. And I feel like sometimes that in society, women's voices are like, oh, she's talking about something that they've always talked about. And it gets overshadowed. So by us actually traveling and talking to the younger audience, because eventually they'll be the adults. Right. And we have to realize that they're going to be the ones in charge. And those are going to be the future police or the future judges and lawyers and stuff like that. And we need them to understand in the long run that we're putting our faith into yours hands. So I definitely think it's pivotal, especially nowadays, and especially in certain areas where it's poverty struck. You know, you have to talk to them to express, like, this isn't the end. Like, you can make it out of here. And that, you know, it's not always you against whomever is on the outside. You know, you can be a part of it, and we can make a change together. So, yeah, I do.
Great answer.
So another thing is, isn't Girls Against Gun Violence a sub-coalition of JSU Votes? And
yes, it is.
You guys actually had an event on campus today where you guys were talking to local officials, trying to get solidarity and unity. There was a lot of Republicans, Democrats out there, sitting officials. So how was your experience with that today?
Well, I love today's event. It was called Politics on the Plaza. It was a very pivotal event. I feel like this is one of the best events we've had thus far. Even though the school year has just begun, I definitely think we have more to come. But today's event was a little different because not only, like you said, we had so many different parties there, and they were actually talking to one another and collaborating, that it doesn't have to be some type of feud because we didn't vote for the same person or because we don't agree on certain political views. And I feel like in recent news, as you guys heard about, like the Charlie Kirk situation, I feel like this event definitely was something that we needed right now because it's a lot going on in politics and it's a lot going on in mainstream media. And I think that this event just gave a platform for some of them to connect in ways that they didn't even know they probably related in. Just because we're the opposite party doesn't mean we have to be the opposite, you know?
Right.
It's like we're one and the same at the end of the day. We just, some people have different beliefs than others, and I respect everyone, so.
Right. Some dishes are to be eaten with a spoon, some are to be eaten with forks.
Yep.
But they both go on the dinner table, right?
Absolutely.
So if we can get that mentality and start thinking, you know, and understanding that every piece of the puzzle has to be there in order for the puzzle to be complete, you know, I think we can move farther in this world. So, next question, Zion.
Absolutely. I was going to say, so kind of on that subject, what do you feel about that narrative being pushed that young people are the root cause of a lot of crime that happens in the city of Jackson? Because, you know, Jackson is an old city. You know, we have a lot of old constituents. And so the narrative being pushed right now is that we're the root cause of a lot of violence. What do you have to say about that?
I do understand how that can be perceived because when you are looking on social media, and that's why it's so irritating because that's not always what's really going on in reality. But when you look at social media, you do see they're saying, oh, 14-year-old, you know, robbing people at gunpoint, 15-year-old carjacking, 16, you know, it's that age group. And it definitely can look a certain type of way or be perceived a certain type of way. But that's not always the statistics. Like, you have to look deeper and you actually have to connect with real live news stations and not just the shade room and, like, messy pages where you find, just finding out little stuff. You have to look for the real root of why these kids are acting like this. A lot of people, they're just so like, oh, why are you doing this? You're young. Well, ask him or ask her because it's not just males. It's women out there, too, who are doing stuff at young ages that I was, like, surprised at.
Wow.
And I'm shocked that that's what's going on, and it's the unfortunate reality. But no one's talking to these teenagers. No one's having politics on the plaza where they can express themselves and say, well, I'm acting out like this because this is going on at home, or this has happened at school,
Absolutely.
or I've had trauma in the past, which has committed me to do these things. And it's unfortunate, but that's not always the case. I don't think any crime is correct, no matter the age. But especially when we're young, I think that's something that we need to look deeper into to figure out exactly what's going on, because sometimes it's deeper than what you may see.
Right, and doing Reset Jackson, well, we've dealt with a lot of troubled young people.
Yes.
And a lot of times it may actually be mental illness, but a lot of times there's just no one that they can reach out to who really understands. As adults in my generation, we're used to saying, "Shut up, get out my face." I don't want. If a child is trying to express themselves, sometimes, well, I'm gonna say all the times, it's really best to just listen. Even if you don't adhere to what they're saying, you always listen to your child. Parents, truth bomb. If your child is trying to tell you something, you need to listen. Listen, because if you're not listening to them, they're going to take it and go talk to somebody else. And what that other person's going to say is, I'm going to start recording, and you go over there and slap them. Or I'm going to give you this gun, and you go over there and shoot them. Listen to your children, because they always have something to say. But I think the problem we have is that especially in the communities, there are no young people doing this type of work that needs to be done like what you're doing now. Zion is the only reason I created a youth department. So Zion is my youth president at Reset Jackson, and we need people who can relate to young people to get out and talk to them, to get out and listen to them. They will tell Zion something way quicker than they would tell me. Young ladies will probably talk to you way quicker than they would talk to me. Way quicker than they would talk to these judges and these older law enforcement and lawmakers and things like that. So we have to have somebody who are on that level, who understands the lingo of young people, to get out there and talk to them. We can't just say, well, you young, it's not your time, and sit back and we know how to handle this, because when I was coming up, this is how we did it. Unfortunately, the world isn't like it was when I was coming up. So we have to get people who understand the world today to fix the problems of today. So I think that's one of the biggest problems we have. We have older people trying to make all the decisions for younger people and tell them, you should do it this way, you should do it that way, and it does not work. Go ahead, Zan.
I was going to say, Nia made a very compelling point here. We need to look deeper than the surface. Why is crime happening? Because a lot of people don't want to have the conversation where crime and poverty go hand in hand. There's a direct correlation to them. So before we can start devising solutions, we need to look introspectively within our young people and say, okay, what is it that they're lacking, rather than what is it that they're doing, and then trying to come up with reactive solutions instead of programmatic, proactive solutions that actually benefit them. And that drives me to my next question. What are some misconceptions around violence, or why do you feel like, from your standpoint, young people resort to violence or gun violence within the city?
Similar to what Mr. Hopkins spoke about just a few minutes ago, how he's saying that, when you were growing up, it was possible that depression wasn't even a thing. Like, people didn't even know what that was. I don't even think they cared to know what that was. And now I feel like our generation especially, it's deeper for us, like, to know why people act a certain type of way. People want to know the psychology of things and why I'm doing these things, or why am I behaving this way. And sometimes it's not always because sometimes they just want attention. I'm going to be honest. Sometimes a lot of children just are not getting that attention that they crave, and they feel like lackluster in their homes. Maybe if they have multiple siblings, or maybe if they feel like, oh, my sister is an AB student, I'm a DF student, I might as well just be bad anyways. It's like I'm already on that pathway. No one's really trying to have a divine intervention with people to understand their perspective, because sometimes it's not always as bad as it is. Like, you could just talk to them and ask them, like, what exactly is going on.
Right.
And like you said, not children, but teenagers especially, will be willing to talk to people our age and understand us, because when you're hearing an adult consistently talk to you, it feels like they're talking at you at some point. And so now sometimes you need to just take a deep breath and actually talk to somebody who you can relate to, because they've been in your position before. I've been a high school student before. I understand trying to show out because you want to fit in with the group or whatever the case may be. It's not always because this is who I genuinely am. So yeah, it's definitely ways we can go around that, and I think we should work toward that.
Absolutely. So do you feel like Girls Against Gun Violence has done a good job trying to communicate to the young people, the teenagers?
Yes, I absolutely do agree, because not only are we going to high schools, but we're going to middle schools as well, because it starts really early. And a lot of people, they don't think that it's not that deep to them, but it is that deep. Going to talk to 5th and 6th graders may seem like that's childish. They don't even, they get years. And those years until then are very pivotal, and you need to talk to them. So when they get to those years, the years in between, they had a real life professional person who is able to communicate effectively with them, because it's not always what you say, it's how you say it. Exactly. And a lot of things that Girls with Gun Violence incorporates is active communication. Like, after we leave the event, that's not just it, like, bye, I hope y'all had a good time. We're still keeping up with those schools. Absolutely. We're still in contact with those students, especially the students who are misbehaving or may be perceived bad on the outside looking in. We keep up with them in the years to come, so that when they reach a certain point, when they're ready to go to college or go to trade school or whatever post-secondary education they decide, they know, hey, this person made a change for me because they listened to me, they heard me, they understood me, and they didn't just neglect my feelings or my thoughts and made my emotions feel serious, and they were sincere.
And that's important. You know, nobody wants to be ignored. Nobody wants to be made to feel like they're less than. So that's I mean, to me, it's major when a child is trying to tell you something, even if, you know, oh, they be whining all the time. You listen to them anyway. Absolutely. You show them that love, you show them that support, you know, and you nurture them as you go. Why are they acting up? Like I said, y'all keep up with them and do. That's major, you know, and I applaud y'all on that. And again, ladies and gentlemen, this is a girls' organization. This is not an organization with a bunch of guys. This is a girls' organization that Zion has somehow infiltrated and gotten him a spot in.
We got a couple guys, like maybe 2 or 3.
But it's great, you know, and it's on the college campus. So, and what you all are doing, even when you go into the high schools and middle school, you're basically just setting up this organization for the future. Yeah. Because people may choose Jackson State just to be a part of this program. You know, so y'all keep up the good work and keep doing what you're doing. We're going to take a commercial break right quick, and when we come back, Zion will continue to drill those questions on you. We'll be back. Good evening, good evening. This is James Hopkins, and this is Your Words, Your Voice,
where we talk about what matters. From leaders making change to moments that connect us all. Every voice has a story worth telling. Your Words, Your Voice with James Hopkins, where conversations build community.
I'm James Hopkins, I'm the host, and on this podcast we're going to be talking about all types of things. We're going to be talking about church, school, community. We're going to be talking about politics and crime.
Join the conversation. Subscribe now.
Advertise on WeBelieve.global, a brand new digital media platform. Share your brand with our audience on our many global live stream TV broadcasts and over the radio. For more info, visit WeBelieve.global or call 800-492-5186, option 1.
All right. We're back. Turn the siren on. Bully, calm down, man. We're trying to have a show. Zion, take over the show.
So despite all the negative stigma around Jackson, you know, it's hard to not look at the media and feel like we're going backwards when it comes to violence in the city. So what really motivates you to keep pursuing the fight and trying to get people to understand that violence is something we need to come together on?
Honestly, I feel like the stigma, unfortunately, even though in a sense it's not always reality, I feel as though that is how they want us to perceive the city of Jackson. Absolutely. They want us to have a negative light on the city of Jackson, because I didn't recognize it, of course, until I attended the university, and I'm like, it's really not all how you guys are making it seem. I feel the same way about at home, though. They're always posting how negative it is, 63rd this, 63rd that. It's more to Jackson. Jackson is actually a very community-aligned city, and it has a lot of potential. And sometimes people don't look at it like that because they see, oh, they're not doing anything, they're not fixing these streets, like little stuff like that makes people like, oh, that's not a good city. Yeah. When in reality, it's a lot of history. There's so much deep-rooted Black culture in Jackson, I promise you all, that is not talked about on mainstream media, and that does need to be addressed, because it is a wonderful place to be when you really connect with your culture. And going to an HBCU especially, you see that firsthand. So I definitely think that it pushes me to keep going, because at the end of this, what it's all about is making your school proud. You know, being a part of a culture is deeper than just, saying I attended an HBCU. Yeah, you attended one, but what did you do while you was there?
Right.
And that's how I feel about, going there and being a part of, just, I'm going to call myself an honorary Jacksonian, because I feel so connected in a sense. Like I said at the beginning, it's a home away from home, and I want to be a part of that.
Absolutely, man. You hit on some really good topics, especially when we're talking about the subculture here in Jackson. One of the things that I've seen most prominently is there a need for a paradigm shift. You mentioned that we always look at the city in a negative light. So what is something that you can say to the people right now that will hopefully get them to shape their perspective on Jackson and the violence and how we can actually solve it?
Well, what are you doing to make it less violent? What are you doing to make it more positive? You're talking about it, you're saying all this, but you're not going out actively and supporting your community. You're not going to events. You're not speaking publicly about the issues that are occurring in the city, maybe perhaps the water crisis, maybe perhaps going to the games and supporting your fellow HBCU. Why are you, talking negatively about something that you're not a part of? If it's not benefiting, don't even add to the conversation. I really don't want to hear it. I can go so deep about when it comes to my HBCU and when it comes to my Black community, because it's pivotal to talk about those things, and I feel like they don't want to hear us, and they're trying to deem us and dim our light. But we're not going to let them.
Not going
right.
Not thee.
And that's major right there, because we do a lot of events, and you just can't get people to come out to things that matters to them. A lot of the things that I fight for, they affect me indirectly. But directly, I could live my life every day, and it wouldn't affect me.
Right.
But I'm out fighting for the people that it does affect. And a lot of times, you can't even get them to come out. But they will call that phone and say, hey, Mr. Hopkins, this is going on. Hey, man, can you help me? Can you bring some light to it? Can you go downtown and talk to somebody? Of course, I'm going to say yes, because, again, I love my Black people, too. But we have to stop complaining about everything.
Yes.
Yes,
Get out and make a difference. Get out and be a part of the change. When you can be a part of the change, it feels good. It just feels good to be a part of it. When you see it and be like, hey, I made that happen. I helped make that happen. But people are, like I said, they're afraid to speak. Well, I can complain, but I really don't want to talk about it. I don't want to tell nobody. But you have all of these solutions. But I was telling her earlier, your blessings are always, even though you get the blessing, God always wants you to use whatever blessing he gives you to bless somebody else. But even your trials are meant to bless somebody else. You get out and you talk about it because there's somebody else that may be going through it that don't know how to deal with it. But you've gone through it, you've dealt with it, but you're keeping that knowledge to yourself because you're too embarrassed about the stain it may put on you. But stains are made to be washed out. So don't be afraid and don't be embarrassed to talk about the things that's happened to you, because there's somebody out there who may make the difference between life and death of you telling your story. So do that and stop letting them tell us who we are as a city, who we are as a people. And that happens not just in Jackson, not just in Chicago, but anywhere that's Black led or Black owned or just Black. This is what they do. Remember now, you're Black. Don't start thinking you're up here. We'll give you 5 steps, but that's it. And we have to stop thinking that that's where we have to stop at the 5th step. We want to go all the way to the top. We deserve to go all the way to the top, but we have to remember who we are and not remember who they said we are. Go ahead.
Absolutely. And that goes an important part in history, because I'll say this. I've worked with Chicago Credit, which is actually the largest nonprofit anti-gun violence organization in the city of Chicago. And I just want to make this crucial point that sometimes you can't wait on your public officials to make something happen. Sometimes it happens within the community. A lot of the largest organizations that we have, the NAACP, the COFO Center, these are things that were built by the community. We can ask for approval to have a lot of these things. We have to go out and make it happen. So with that said, sometimes you need to take it into your own hands as a citizen to see the change that you want to see in the city. So I'm just going to move on to the next question with that. So going back to Girls Against Gun Violence, what would you say to any aspiring women that may be in high school right now that are interested in joining the organization? What can they expect?
Well, I can say this for starters, just because it was some of my, experience, that doesn't mean you always have to, think, oh, well, I didn't experience gun violence, so does that mean I can't join? No, it's not like that. It's not one of those organizations. It's for people who just want to uplift the community, connect the community to other facets of society. And at the end of the day, the program is all about communication and just getting yourself out there and putting your voice out there. Of course, we talk deeper than just gun violence, but what is happening before the gun violence, what's causing that to be the main issue. So anyone can join. It is a wonderful organization. I wouldn't be a part of it if it wasn't. But I definitely feel like, when you're interested in joining organizations, you should look them up, research them, of course, because you just get to know what you are interested in. And, of course, you should be able to resonate with it at the end. But if you're just interested to support and be a backbone, this is the organization for you.
Now, this organization, do you have to be a student, or are you all currently accepting maybe high school seniors or someone who plans on coming to Jackson State and kind of bringing them in as cadets or something like that?
If you know that you're attending Jackson State University in the upcoming maybe semester or next year, then yes. But not current active students who are high school students are a part of the organization. They can come to events and help assist with the events, but they won't be counted as like a member.
I think y'all should start a junior organization.
That would be wonderful, yeah.
I think that's actually what we're working on.
Yeah, like not currently, they're not doing that, but going to the high schools, it is in a sense like recruiting.
Okay.
Because like you said, at the end of the day, these are going to be who takes over when we graduate.
Right.
The organization has to go on.
Right.
So that's what it's all about, getting, younger people to come and join in.
Yeah, unless you're going to just keep failing year after year and say, I'm going to stay here because I want to be a part of this organization.
That's never good. But I was going to say, you're a very prominent figure on the Jackson State University campus, so how do you manage your day-to-day while also being a part of such impactful movements like Girls Against Gun Violence and JSU Votes? How do you multitask?
Well, I'm a part of a lot of organizations, but I like to dedicate myself. As I spoke about earlier, I want to commit my full self, so I'm never going to join anything if I know I can't give it my all. I'm never going to be a part of anything if I know that I really am not interested in it. I just want to have something on my resume. It has to resonate with me deeply, and I have to connect with it on the outside looking in. So that's how I balance it all, because I want to be deeper than just, like I said before, I attended HBC, but what did I do when I was there? Like, what was my impact? I want people to know me, for good things, of course. And so being a part of multiple organizations or multiple clubs, whatever you want to call it, you invest yourself, you invest your time. It's give and take. Like, I'm investing myself in it, but they're giving me something back. And I'm not just talking about community service hours or putting me on the camera. I'm talking about they're actually giving me knowledge that I can carry on post-graduation and that I can carry on to maybe potential organizations that I create.
Hey, I love that.
And that's great, too, though. You definitely want to be a part of an organization that's, number one, not going to hold you back.
Yes.
They want to make sure you grow, and they want to make sure you gain. And they want to make sure, again, like you said, when you leave, you take something with you, that you can impart in somebody else, and so on and so on. Because time doesn't stop, and neither does life.
Right.
So you want to make sure that next generation has something, a part of you. So that's great, and yeah, we need some more female leaders in Reset Jackson. Next question.
Slide plug. I was going to say,
next question.
I'm here.
Because like I said, JSU Votes is the main prominent coalition over
Yeah.
Girls Against Gun Violence. So
Right.
kind of just steering the conversation, do you feel like it's important for young people to be civically engaged, whether it be in elections or voting or just getting to know their local officials?
Oh, absolutely. This event today definitely put that into perspective for me, even though I was already aware of, where we are, where we stand as a society. Talking to actual community leaders and politicians definitely reinforced that in my brain, like, man, this is real life, this is reality, like, it's more than just what I see on my phone,
Right.
because I'm actually connecting with them and hearing some of their ideas. And they're not just talking, they're actually establishing real plans. They have dates when they want things to be formed by. They have time where they connect with, students because they want to give back to their community. So I see that they're actively putting in the work. So it definitely is pivotal and important for students to get out there, because I don't believe in that whole my vote doesn't count. It does. And talking to them today
Yes.
definitely made me aware of that.
Absolutely. That's a great point. You have anything you want to add to that, Mr. Hopkins?
No, I actually have a question, though. I like what you're saying is you want to make sure people know the truth and hear the truth in media. If for some reason you can't find that media outlet that's going to allow you to be truthful, is your own media outlet, your own news is that a possibility in the future?
Oh, absolutely.
Because you want it to be the right way.
We can make it happen sooner
Yeah.
or later. I'm
Okay.
It's a possibility
Yeah,
in the now.
I like that because a lot of times people are compromised by what they can gain. And a lot of time if you can gain stuff, you're willing to compromise yourself in order to gain it. Now, it may be a personal gain for you, but it's going to be a loss for everybody that you're out there lying to. So I just, I love real. So we have enough time, Zion, for one more question before we do our shout outs.
I want to make this one a little bit more personal. If there was one thing that you could do yourself right now to shape gun violence within the city, what would it be and why? Personally.
That's a good question.
Well, I'm going to connect it to home because that's where I experienced it at. I have always wanted to, in a sense, form my own organization that can, correlate people who have experienced gun violence, whether that be, a long time ago or in the now, because it's happening daily. And I know that a lot of times it doesn't get the attention that it really truly deserves. And so that's what my organization would be about. And I definitely think that connecting to the city is important because people respect you based on, how you present yourself. And they see you, and once you tell them where you're from, they're like, oh. Or they could be like, oh. And you make them look good. So I definitely think that it's important for me to be out there and talk about it. And just being a part of this organization, little by little, I see the change. And I see that what I'm doing is actually a helping hand. And I'm not just standing here, handing out flyers or whatever to come to the events. I'm actually a part of the events. I'm actually connecting with the events. And outside of Girls Against Gun Violence, it's important in general to be someone for yourself. Like, who am I outside of an organization? I have my own character.
Right.
I'm not just a part of this group, even though I love this group. I am me without this, Who was I before these, letters or this, organization? I definitely think that it's pivotal to start changing now because you just never know.
Absolutely.
Great answer.
Couldn't have answered that better, honestly.
Answer just like a Reset Jackson member. Just like a
Hopkins, not
Reset
me.
Jackson member. Okay, go ahead.
He's throwing it, but I was gonna say, is there anything you wanted to ask? Because she's hit a lot of points today, man. This was.
I think, when we're talking about gun violence, I lost my sister to gun violence. And I do believe that until there's, I'm gonna say tougher legislation, but there also has to be better parenting and upbringing, because a child isn't born violent. Somewhere between the time they were born and the time they pull that trigger, somebody dropped the ball. Most of the times, you may have a parent that's working all night or overnight or working 2 jobs, and a lot of times, like I say, it goes back to the poverty level. A lot of these parents working 2 jobs or never at home, and that child has another child trying to raise them. Or that child is going to the store and somebody said, hey, run this for me and I'm going to give you $100. And so begins drug dealing. So we have to, I just believe that children have to be taken care of by the parents. If you're not there as a parent, you should make sure that someone is taking care of your child that's going to raise your child the right way. Legislation, we know in Mississippi, actually in this country, they're not going to do anything to fix gun violence because they get so much money from the NRA or whatever. But I think it's just about, upbringing. And you just have to make sure that that child is not talking back to you, not fussing, you're not scared of your child. If you're scared of your child, it's time to put that child with somebody that's not scared of them, So I just pray for the world, pray that we get better leaders and people who understand just because it didn't happen to you doesn't mean it's not important. I tell people, and I like to use this example, cancer may start as a little knot, but if you don't fix it and if you don't take care of it, it's going to end up through your whole body. So this community, Jackson, Jackson is bad. Yeah, we don't go to Jackson. That's why we stay in Madison. But guess what? All Jackson needs is a car. And they can go do the same thing in Madison. You may put them away for life, but guess what? It doesn't change the fact that the crime was committed. You know, and I don't get it. You know, I just don't get it. I don't know. I'm all over the place right now. But that was a great question. I think we just need stronger legislation. I don't believe Jackson should be an open carry city. You know, when the Surgeon General came and he said, well, what's happening in Jackson, Mississippi is the equivalent of a pandemic. I know for a fact when pandemics hit, rules change. The laws change for pandemics. When COVID hit, things changed. They made laws says, okay, everybody don't get sick. If the Surgeon General says we are a pandemic with gun violence, somebody at the state capitol should have changed the rules for Jackson. And if you want everybody else, fine. But Jackson's rules should have changed. A lot of crime that goes on in Jackson, because I've been on the, not the inside, but I've had inside scoops. A lot of this crime isn't committed by people that live in Jackson. You know, when you have the club shootings and things like that, stuff don't be happening by people that live in Jackson.
Not at all.
You know, the apartment complex maybe do, but a lot of these crimes aren't even committed by people in Jackson. And it goes back to that stigma that, hey, they're Jackson, they're black,
Negative
do what we
feedback
want to
loop.
do. But I'm going to stop right there because we're going to have somebody else on next week when we have part 2 of the gun violence series. And I'm going to let you do your shout-outs.
Man, I first just want to say, Nia, I'm very impressed with you today. I mean, even when I first met you, we first conversated, and it was almost like she knew right off the bat. It was like, and us, obviously, we're from Chicago. Just got to throw that plug in there. Nothing to it, but, you know, big Mississippi due to the Great Migration. But like I said, I'm very impressed with you. And one shout-out I'd like to give is Carnival Popcorn. They actually just relocated out of North Park Mall. They were a small black-owned business, and I just wanted to just show them that we support you in whatever endeavors you're going for, and hope to see you make it. So that's it. That's all I got for shout-outs. You want to shout out anybody?
Of course, I'm going to shout out Girls Against Gun Violence because we've been talking about it during this segment, and I think that it is a beautiful organization that you guys should definitely look into it, high school students as well. And I want to shout out my mommy. I'm always going to shout her out. I'm going to be on the news shouting her out.
That's all you're going to shout out?
Can I plug my media page?
Do what you do.
Okay, is this free publication?
Anything you want to
Go
do.
ahead, plug
Well,
it.
y'all might as well, since y'all got y'all phone out, might as well tune in to News with Nia with 2 A's. That's where I will be posting all my content alongside with Tiger Report. So I'm super ecstatic about some great footage that I had today and in the coming future.
Stay tuned for that.
That's it?
Hopkins.
Yeah.
All right. My shout-outs are basically everyone who tuned in tonight. I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight. I saw some names on here that should be guests on my show, Mr. Holiday, Mr. Archie. I need y'all to come on the show. Y'all doing some great things in this city, and people need to know about it. Shout out to Byron Brumfield, Chris Cooper, Tim White. Shout out to Deja, who's not here today. And everyone that tunes in again. I miss my Chattanooga friend tonight. She didn't tune in. And I miss my Shreveport buddy. He didn't tune in. But I'm sure y'all going to watch it later on. And thank y'all anyway. I want to give a shout out to our wonderful producer, Miss Amanda. And I'm going to say her name right today, Miss Amanda. Shout out to Amanda. She does a great job. If y'all ever want to watch the show like on the studio view and not from this side view on my camera, tune in to We Believe Digital Podcast every Wednesday night. Tune in. And I want to say before we go, my guest next week will be Miss Felicia Marshall. And she's also a young lady that advocates against gun violence, and her platform is wonderful. She's received multiple awards for the work that she does, and next week my guest will be Miss Felicia Marshall. Y'all tune in at 6 o'clock, and I am done. I am out of words. And I'm going to turn it over to Bully. Do you have anybody you want to shout out, Bully? We'll see y'all next week.